Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to dig into the very DNA of the English language. Yeah, we're talking about the core building blocks that let us take simple words and turn them into powerful ideas.
I know. It's kind of a weird question, right? You've got this huge physical thing on one side and then just a bunch of words on the other. But trust me, there's a really cool connection here hiding in plain sight.
And here it is, the secret. They're both built from simple but super powerful blocks. Think about it. A skyscraper is just a collection of bricks and beams, right? Well, every single sentence you've ever written or said, it's built from a handful of basic grammatical units, and we call these the parts of speech.
And the most amazing part? There are only 8 of them. Just 8. That's it. 8 core building blocks that make up the foundation for the entire English language. I mean, if you can get a handle on these, you literally hold the blueprint for clear, powerful communication.
So here they are. This is basically our roadmap for today. We're going to quickly run through each one and see what special job it has in making our language actually work. Okay, let's kick things off with the absolute essentials. I'm talking about the core components, the blocks that give a sentence its subject and its action. You know, the stuff you just can't do without if you want to make a complete thought. First up, we've got the noun. It's really simple. Nouns are just naming words. They tell us who or what a sentence is all about. Could be a person, like Ali, a place, like Karachi, a thing, like a book, or even a big idea like freedom. But, saying the same name over and over again gets pretty boring, right? That's where our next building block, the pronoun, comes in to save the day. Think of pronouns as these super efficient stand-ins that just make our sentences flow way better. So, for instance, instead of saying Ali is absent because Ali is sick, which is kind of clunky, we just swap in the pronoun he. See? It's cleaner, it's faster, and it just sounds way more natural. All right, now for the engine of the sentence, the verb. Verbs are what give it all the power and movement. A lot of the time, they're action words, like run or eat, but they can also just show a state of being. Words like is or am or were. And listen, this part is absolutely crucial. You cannot, I repeat, cannot have a complete sentence without a verb. It is the beating heart that brings a bunch of words to life. A noun on its own is just the label, right? But you add a verb to it, bam, now you've got a statement. Okay, so we've got our core components down. Now it's time to add some color, some detail. Let's check out the blocks that add all the description and flavor, the ones that make our sentences way more interesting. And that is the job of the adjective. Adjectives are basically describing words. They give us more info about our nouns. They answer questions like what kind or how many. They're what turn a student into a brilliant student. So, take a look at this sentence. Can you spot the word that tells us more about the boy? Yeah, that's right. It's tall. It's such a simple little word, but it paints a much clearer picture in your head, doesn't it? Okay, so adjectives describe nouns. Adverbs, on the other hand, are a little more flexible. Their main job is to describe verbs. They tell us how, when, or where something happens. So he didn't just run, he ran quickly. But what's cool is they can also describe adjectives or even other adverbs, adding all these extra layers of meaning. Now here's a handy little tip. A lot of adverbs end in Y, right? Like quickly or slowly. But, and this is a big but, it's not a perfect rule. So you gotta be careful, because common words like fast or very are also adverbs and they don't follow that pattern at all. All right, we're almost there. Finally, let's look at the connecting pieces, the blocks that are kind of like the glue, and also the spice for our sentences. These are the words that link everything else together and throw in those little bursts of emotion. First up here are prepositions, and these are all about relationships. They show us stuff like location, time, or direction. They're these tiny but really powerful words that show how a noun relates to everything else in the sentence. Just look at this example right here. The word on, that little preposition, it creates a perfectly clear relationship. We know exactly where the book is. You take that word away, and the whole sentence just falls apart. It doesn't make sense anymore. Next up, conjunctions. And yeah, just like the name sounds, they create junctions. They're the connectors. They link different ideas, and they're what let us build those longer, more complex sentences by joining words, phrases, or even entire ideas together. And our last building block, the interjection. These are just short bursts of pure emotion, usually followed by an exclamation mark. Grammatically, they're kind of their own thing, separate from the sentence. They're just feeling, like, wow. So there they are, all 8 building blocks. Now, let's pull this all together into a simple blueprint, something you can use to either break down sentences or, build your own. You can think of this table as your ultimate cheat sheet. Seriously, it's just a super quick summary of the main job of every single block we've talked about, from nouns that name things all the way to interjections that show emotion.
And that's a wrap on our explainer on the 8 parts of speech. See, these aren't just some boring grammar rules from a textbook. They are literally the tools of creation. Every book you love, every powerful speech you've heard, every great idea is built from these exact same 8 blocks. So now, you've got the blueprint. The question is, what are you going to build?